Hi everyone, it's Jane from JD Papercrafts here. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. I thought I'd come on today and show you how to make this card, which has a pop-up vase inside it when you open it. It's based on a card that I made in a class run by my friend and mentor Tracy Allen. I think we made it a couple of years ago. It's Tracy Allen of Stamp and Scrap UK, which was this one. It's one of the first cards I ever made, one of the first Stampin' Up cards I ever made. So I've updated it to use the Magnolia, the Good Morning Magnolia suite. First thing you will need is a standard card base, and I'm going to decorate the outside of that first. So these pieces are pattern paper, DSP, 3 3/4 inches by 1 11/16, or 9.5 centimetres by 4 centimetres, and I've layered those onto a piece of Mossy Meadow, 3 7/8 by 1 13/16, or 10 centimetres by 4.5 centimetres. And I'm going to put those on the front of my card. If you're doing 3 pieces like this, I find the best way to do it is to position the top one first and make sure your border around the sides and the top is the same. Then do the same with the bottom piece. And again, make sure your border, sides and bottom, is equal all the way around. Then you can fit your middle piece in there. I'm not going to carry on with any more decorating of the front, a greeting or anything like that, because I want it to sit reasonably flat while I assemble the rest of the card. The piece inside, I've made that the backing is 3 5/8 by 5 3/8, or 9.5 centimetres by 14, or thereabouts. And the white layer on top is Whisper White, 3 3/8 by 5 1/8, or 8.5 centimetres by 13. And it's important to get this layer in before you make the mechanism for the vase. So get that reasonably central. I've stamped that with a greeting from this set, Peaceful Moments. So I'm going to use the happy birthday on the front and wishing you every happiness this special day will bring on the inside. Papers I've used are from the retired Magnolia papers, but I think it would look very nice in the peony papers from the new catalogue. I just haven't got any of those yet. Right, that's the basic card started. Now you need 3 pieces of card and paper here. Paper is going to be for the actual vase, and I think I've decided I'm going to use that side of it for the vase. And that needs to be 2 1/4 inches by 5 inches, or 6 centimetres by 12.5 centimetres. And on the wrong side of the paper, so I want that side to be the vase, so I'm going to score it on this side for the moment. Score it fairly gently because it is paper, it will rip if you're too heavy-handed with it. Score it at 3/4 inch and 1 1/2 inches. If you're working in metric, I'd make that 2 and 4 centimetres. Then turn to the right side with the long dimension across the top and score at 1 inch from each end. Okay. If you're working in metric, that would be 2.5 centimetres from the end. Now you need a piece 3/4 of an inch by 3 7/8 of an inch, or 2 centimetres by 10 centimetres, and you want to score that at 3/8 or 1 centimetre, 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimetre, which is there. And while we're getting card ready, you'll also need a 2 inch by 1/2 inch piece, or 5 centimetres by 1.5 centimetres, and several strips of 1/2 inch wide. These can be whatever length you need by the time you're finished. It's to make the, I'll bend the other card. I don't know if you can see on this, but these are all attached on stems. So it's to make the stems. So they're 1/2 inch wide, and you want to score straight down the middle at 1/4 of an inch. Again, if you're working in centimetres, can I find the right piece? Yes. Make them 1 centimetre strips and score at 1/2 centimetre. So I've got some I've already prepared, but I'll make a couple of these. And I think that's all of the scoring done. So as I've got these in my hand, we'll start with these. You want to fold it along the score line and burnish it. And then using wet glue is the best for this. You want some wet glue just a little bit down the centre. And then fold that and burnish that reasonably well to get that glue to take. That's just to make your stems a little stiffer to hold the flowers. You might need to hold that down a little to get it to take. The piece that you've cut, that you've scored, a piece of paper, you want to, on one side, you want to remove the 2 outside parts. So you want to cut to the inside of the score line. You're trying to remove the score line. Up to that score line. And then remove. That piece and that piece. On the other end, you want to do the opposite. So on this side, you want to remove the middle piece and leave the outside pieces. So again, cut away the score line. So this time I'm cutting outside the score line. And if you fold those 2 pieces out of the way, you should be able to cut along there to remove that piece. So that is now the shape you should have. Okay. This piece, although we won't be able to see the writing on it later, I'll just rub that out anyway. So this piece now needs to be attached to that tab on the wrong side. It doesn't actually matter whether this goes that way or that way, but it needs to be on that centre tab. And I'm going to do that with tape. It's best to use as little glue as you can get away with, really, because if you've got glue in the wrong, with Tombow anyway, if you have Tombow glue drying in places that you don't want it, it becomes tacky when it's finished drying, and it might affect how well everything else will stick. So this piece, you want it so that it will, so you've got the fold going under at this point, and attach that to there. Okay. And make sure that will still go through there. Now take your card base. You can put some glue. Again, I would use tape for this bit, onto that tab. Now position this so that the bottom of what will be your vase is lined up either right against the bottom there or just tiny little bit above. Make sure you're straight and get the end of this tab lined up on your card, onto the crease of the card there, so that you can still open and close the card, but it should be as tight as you can get it to that score line. Take your tape, backing tape off, just make sure I'm lined up, double check that you are lined up properly, exactly where you want it, and that you are straight, and then close the card, and that should have attached now to this part of your card. Now you need tape on these two sections. Before I forget, there's another piece you need to put in before you attach these. So I've got the tape on those. This piece, the 2" by 1/2 inch, you need some tape on both ends of it, but you've got to leave the middle with no glue on it at all. Now this needs to be positioned across this piece, making sure that that will move freely through it. And I would take it, try to position it height-wise so that it's slightly above the base of your vase, and make sure it's below as well, below the top. Remove the backing off the tape when it will come. You need to be somewhere near the centre. I'd give yourself a little bit of room to the side there, but not a lot, towards that end. And that just needs to go straight across there. And that's just to keep that moving in the right direction. Keep it in place. Now these, take the tape, backing off the tape. This is slightly more difficult to position because you need to make sure it doesn't actually attach until you have your card closed. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So fold those in and hold it so that that is just not quite touching. Now close your card, making sure that that is in the right position, and as you close you can let go and press down, and that's now your vase made. Apologies for that. Mine had attached itself slightly skew, so I thought it best to pause the video. I fixed it now. So when you open the card, it should do that. Where mine had gone wrong was that one of the tabs had attached itself to this piece. So you have to be careful that that doesn't happen as you put in the closing the card. And that's basically your vase made. So now you take some flowers. These are the Magnolias, which are from the Magnolia dies, which are in, you can find in our annual catalogue. So those 3 dies, and if you just sponge the centre of them slightly with a little bit of ink, you get that coloration that magnolias tend to have. And I've just curled the petals ever so slightly with a bone folder. So what I'm going to do now is take one of the stems I've made and a little bit of glue and attach that to the back of the flower and decide where I want this flower. And I think that one needs to, I think I'll do it that side. I want it to just overhang the edge ever so slightly, like that. You need to cut the stem so that it's going to be somewhere within the confines of the vase. So I'm going to estimate, I'll cut it about there, just cut that down, use a little bit of glue and attach that where you want it. You can also use a little bit of greenery if you want. So I'm going to use that piece of it, which is from the Forever Fern suite. I've got those dies somewhere here. It's from the Forever Flourishing dies. There we go. Just attach that to the back of your vase. Take another stem. Attach that to the back of your flower. And I think I want to cut that about there. And put some glue onto the stem. Place the stem inside there. hold it until the glue takes, and then arrange it with your greenery as to where you would like it. And then finally take another stem and another flower, attach that to the back, oops, and I'll cut that one about there. You might find that some of them, that they fall off slightly if the glue hasn't taken before you let go. You do have to make sure you hold on to them long enough. And the other thing is to be careful that you don't go too far across, too far above there or across here, because if you're not careful, when you close the card, the flowers will get in the way. That's not bad. Possibly a little high. I think I'll live with it. And that's the inside of the card made. So to finish off, I've cut a mossy meadow piece using this die from Painted Labels dies, which is part of the Poppy suite, and I've cut that one using the second from smallest of the stitched shapes circles. I'm just going to attach that onto there. I've stamped the greeting, which as I said is from Peaceful Moments, and then I've stamped this Magnolia, and I've coloured it in. I don't know if you can see the slight glitter on that, slight glimmer. I've used the Wink of Stella and a little bit of ink for that. Got some dimensionals. On the back of that. And I'm going to put that in the centre, and then I think a few of these beautiful champagne rhinestone jewels. Which are all available from me. All the Stampin' Up products you can buy from Stampin' Up, preferably through me, with the exception of this paper because it has retired now. And that's the card finished. Hope you like it. Thanks very much. Bye for now.